You know how some mysteries just never die? For over 3,000 years, nobody has known where Moses was buried. The Bible literally says that God himself buried him, and that no one has ever found the spot. It's one of those details that makes the story of Moses feel almost untouchable. But recently, something strange started spreading in the archaeology community. A few quiet reports, a couple of leaked photos, and suddenly people are whispering that a team might have found something unbelievable. A sealed tomb hidden in the desert, with a perfectly preserved body inside. And the claim? That this could be Moses himself. Now, most of these stories turn out to be nothing. But this one's different. Because if this turns out to be true, it doesn't just rewrite history, it shakes the foundation of three major religions. It proves that a man we've treated as a prophet, a legend, maybe even a myth, was absolutely real. So let's break this down. What do we actually know? What could be real? And what would it even mean if they really did find him? Why his grave was never found. Before we talk about any discovery, we have to talk about why his grave was hidden in the first place. This wasn't a case of being lost over time, it was meant to be hidden. The book of Deuteronomy actually says it directly. Moses died after seeing the promised land from Mount Nebo, and then God buried him. The line that follows is chilling. No one knows his burial place to this day. That wasn't a historical gap. It was divine intent, a deliberate act of concealment. The message was clear. You're not supposed to find him. Jewish tradition backs this up too. There's even an old story that a Roman emperor once sent soldiers to find Moses' tomb. When they climbed the hills, they saw it down in the valley. But when they went down into the valley, it appeared back up on the hills. A kind of divine illusion, as if the land itself refused to reveal the truth. Why go to such lengths? Because the ancient world was obsessed with relics. People built temples around bones, crowns, and sandals of holy men. If someone found Moses' body, he could have easily turned into an object of worship. By hiding the body, the focus stayed on the message, not the man. But that raises a haunting question. I'll stop. What happens if someone finally breaks that divine secrecy? If this body really exists, did we just unlock something that was never meant to be touched? Where the search always led. For centuries, scholars and pilgrims have looked toward one place, Mount Nebo in modern-day Jordan. That's where Moses was last seen alive, so naturally it became the center of the search. Archaeologists have been digging there since the early 1900s. They found Byzantine churches, a monastery, memorial plaques, all built by early Christians to honor Moses. But no tomb, no burial chamber, nothing that actually fits a 3,200-year-old grave. And it's not like they haven't tried hard enough. We've scanned the mountain with ground-penetrating radar, the same tech that finds lost pyramids and buried cities. It's mapped almost everything under the soil. Ancient roads, Roman ruins, even small family graves. But not a single structure that could match the kind of monumental tomb someone like Moses would deserve. So if this new claim is true, it wasn't found on Mount Nebo. It was found somewhere completely different, somewhere off the map, away from the world's eyes, which just adds more layers to the mystery. How could everyone be wrong for 3,000 years? A body that shouldn't exist. The craziest part of this rumor isn't the tomb. It's the condition of the body. Reports say it's perfectly preserved. And that's a massive red flag for scientists, because that shouldn't even be possible. There are really only two ways a human body survives for thousands of years, either through deliberate mummification or by total accident. Let's start with mummification. During the time of Moses, the Egyptians were masters at it. They used salts, oils, and resins to dry out and preserve bodies for eternity. It was a sacred, complicated process that required specialized embalmers and imported materials. If Moses' body was preserved like that, it means someone with access to Egyptian funerary knowledge did it, secretly, in the middle of nowhere. That alone would be an archaeological bombshell. The other option is natural preservation. Sometimes extreme heat and dryness can turn a body into a natural mummy. But the Jordan Valley isn't consistent enough for that. You get humidity, flash rain, temperature swings. Perfect conditions for decay, not preservation. So if this body really is intact, something extraordinary happened. Either someone buried him with knowledge no one was supposed to have, or nature itself decided to break its own rules. And maybe, just maybe, that's the message. Maybe the preservation itself was part of something divine. A sign, a reminder, or a warning that what's hidden isn't meant to be touched. Science meets faith, the DNA problem. Okay, say the tomb is real and the body's real. How would you actually prove it's Moses? That's where modern science hits a wall. We can take DNA samples, carbon date the tissues, analyze isotopes from the bones, all of it. But all that would tell us is that the man lived around 3,200 years ago, probably somewhere in the Levant, the same region Moses came from. That's it. There's no DNA for prophet, no biological marker for lawgiver. Science can tell us what he ate, where he lived, how old he was, but not who he was. The only thing that could prove identity would be something like an inscription saying, "Here lies Moses." But the moment that exists, it contradicts Scripture, because the story itself says the tomb was unmarked. That's the ultimate paradox. The only evidence that could prove it's real is the one piece of evidence that can't exist: the political earthquake. Now let's say, just for a second, that this discovery is legit. Why haven't we heard it from official channels? Why no press conference, no museum exhibit, no global announcement? Because this wouldn't just be archaeology. It would be politics, religion, and international chaos, all rolled into one. Jordan's Department of Antiquities controls every dig and artifact in the country. Nothing leaves that desert without government approval. So if a find like this happened, it would instantly become a state secret. You're talking about an object that could shift the balance of religious power in the Middle East. Imagine it. The verified tomb of Moses inside Jordanian territory. Israel would claim religious connection. Christian and Muslim scholars would rush to reinterpret scripture. Tourism, ownership, even pilgrimage rights would explode into controversy. That one tomb could ignite arguments, or worse, conflicts, across nations. So maybe that's why we've only heard whispers. Maybe the people who found it realized what they had and understood it couldn't safely be revealed. The possibility of a hoax. Of course, there's the simpler explanation, that it's fake. The archaeological black market is full of staged discoveries. People have built entire fake tombs to scam buyers and institutions. With enough skill, anyone can make something look ancient and divine. But here's what makes this rumor different: the silence. Usually fake stories blow up fast. Viral headlines, flashy YouTube videos, wild claims. This one isn't like that. It's quiet. No official denial, no confirmation, just a handful of professionals saying no comment. And that silence might be the loudest clue of all: faith versus proof. Here's what makes this whole mystery so fascinating. It sits right on the border between faith and science. If someone really did find the body, what happens next? Would it strengthen faith or destroy it? For believers, Moses' story is sacred because it's spiritual, not scientific. It's about the covenant, not the corpse. If you suddenly turn that story into a physical artifact, a thing you could measure, scan, and touch, you risk breaking what makes it powerful in the first place. And that's maybe the real reason it was hidden. Faith isn't supposed to live in a tomb. It's supposed to live in people. So if someone did find that tomb, maybe that's the moment we were never supposed to reach, the secret in the sand. So here we are, standing between mystery and evidence. On one side, a story that insists a tomb must remain hidden forever. On the other, whispers that it might already have been found. A body that shouldn't exist. A tomb that shouldn't be real. And a discovery that can't be proven without destroying its own meaning. Every clue leads to another contradiction, as if the mystery protects itself. Maybe that's the final lesson, that some truths are designed to stay out of reach. The sea hides its secrets in the deep. The desert hides them in the light. And this one, the story of Moses, might be both. A truth and a test. Maybe we're not supposed to know where he lies. Maybe we're just supposed to remember why he walked. If this story got you thinking, hit that like button. And tell me in the comments, if the body of Moses really was found, should it be revealed to the world or left buried forever? Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.